it away. You're the Toronto guy. I know I live in the area, but you take it away. What are you thinking?
So I think this is going to come down to a couple of things. For Toronto, they were the best 5-on-5 goal scoring team this season. And a lot of that has to do with Austin Matthews.
Yes.
But I think for Toronto, the biggest thing that they're going to need to do is be disciplined, because their penalty kill is not great. It's towards the bottom end. And they brought in a lot of guys who aren't very disciplined, so it's not great. But they've got to lean into the fact that they've got way better forwards. Like, it's not even close. They're much better from a forward perspective, but everywhere else, Boston's better, I think. Even coaching. So this one's going to be a tough series, but I think the talent that Toronto has, they should win. They should win because, like, at the end of the day, what does Boston have beyond Pastrnak and Marchand in terms of generating offense? Like, you have to be able to take away David Pastrnak, or you have to maybe not take him away, but you have to limit his ability to score, because he was the engine for Boston in terms of scoring this year. He really was. And if they can deal with that, be disciplined, and Ilya Samsonov can play at a good level, because I think he has takeover potential as a goaltender. Like, he either rides really high or really low. So Sammy's got to be strong. And like with some of the guys on the Leafs, like Morgan Rielly has been terrible recently, but he always shows up in the playoffs. William Nylander's tailed off quite a bit, but he always shows up in the playoffs. What's going to happen with Mitch Marner? Are things not going to go his way, and is he going to hang his head? Because a lot of the times, once Mitch Marner's out of it, the Leafs are out of it. And if Boston can break his will, then they'll win, which is crazy to me. Yeah. But I think Boston has better goaltending on paper, but Ilya Samsonov, like I said, has the potential to steal the series. So we'll see here, but the Leafs should win in 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if Boston are able to win it in 7.
Right. So I'll say that this is going to 7. It can't not. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, nothing ever. They never. Nothing. If there's anything
last year,
well, that's they
twice.
They won a bunch. Yeah, okay. But the point is, nothing can come easy for Toronto. They won a bunch of those games in overtime. I think that game 6, if I recall correctly, like, they squeaked that one out too.
They squeaked out all those wins, man.
Yeah, they squeaked them all out. So, like, Toronto, it's never easy. They never make it easy for themselves. I just can't imagine this isn't one that everyone is biting their nails the whole way, even though I agree. I think both teams, I think Toronto has the offensive upper hand. I mean, think about it this way. I'm looking at Boston stats right now. David Pastrnak led the team in scoring with 110 points this year. Brad Marchand was second with 67.
Yeah, like they're not good enough from like an offensive perspective to like really challenge.
If you can shut down a David Pastrnak and like keep glued to him in the defensive end, especially on the power play, I feel like you will be okay. But I mean, I think Boston's approach would be similar to how Florida played them last year, where it's like, you have the goaltending, you can sort of sit back and go, okay, we have some solid guys in our net, whatever, we're not super scared. And I think on the other side of things, you go, well, they've got the forecheckers, right? Like, they've got the DeBrusks, the Fredericks, the Heinens, the Zakas. And it's like, if you just 2-1-2 forecheck the Leafs, and just like, the Leafs panic when they're under pressure, and when like the Leafs like to react and control play, they don't really dictate a whole lot.
Exactly.
They don't really push teams back, because when teams push back against them, that's when Toronto kind of freaks out a little bit, and kind of like, they have this weird thing that seems to happen in the playoffs when things kind of just don't really go their way. It's just they end up falling back onto like chipping it into the offensive zone and trying to dump and chase it, and no one's fast enough to really do that super effectively. And it's a weird style of play that just doesn't really lend itself to a whole lot of offense a lot of the time. And, I think the thing about Toronto, though, this year that they have is, like, if their top guys are having a slow one, I think Max Domi has come on really well over the last stretch. Tyler Bertuzzi has gotten, his production's sort of caught up quite a bit. They have that sort of supplementary offense. Their defending is just the problem.
Absolutely.
But the focus is, like, if you think about Toronto's defense group versus Boston's forwards minus a David Pastrnak, is it as scary, right? Like, if you can just game plan around shutting down that top line of Boston, then it kind of makes Toronto's defense look a little bit better to me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I this is the Toronto Maple Leafs, though. Like, they could, embarrass themselves somehow, but I get the feeling that they'll at least get through this one. I have them down for winning in 7. I think Boston could win, though. I wouldn't say that it's at all, signed, sealed, and delivered.
My confidence level is like 60%.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 60, 65. Like it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be tough. Boston is gonna also, like I said, they kind of want to do the forechecking thing. I think they're gonna want to go out and just freaking kill the Leafs. Like, I think they're gonna want to go out there and sort of send a physical message.
Yeah, but I think the Leafs will be able to handle that now. Like, the one thing that, as much as you can criticize Treliving's deadline, because I think he brought in a lot of duds.
Right.
Like, Ilya Lyubushkin's been horrible. Let's be real. Joel Edmondson's been whatever, and he's been hurt.
They brought in a lot of players that other fans of those teams were thankful that they were gone.
Exactly.
Oh, thank God someone took Lyubushkin. Oh, thank God someone took
and we got a better return on investment too, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, I think at the end of the day, the defense is just going to be a problem. They're going to have to deal with David Pastrnak, as you said, and, like, we'll see. But with Boston, they just don't have a ton. They also were a team that I think is a big paper tiger because they also had 15 loser points. Like, I don't think like they finished 2 points ahead of the Leafs.
Their goaltending did a lot of legwork.
If you take away overtime points, they finished 2 points ahead of the Leafs. So they're not that far apart. I think the Leafs are more talented, but will Sheldon Keefe make adjustments at the right time?
Yes.
Will he adjust fast enough? Because Jim Montgomery is unquestionably a better coach. There's no doubt in my mind he's a better coach.
He is a good coach. Yeah, he is a good coach, for sure.
So Sheldon Keefe might be the reason they lose, which is crazy to say, because he gets outcoached every series, even the one he won in. So we'll see what happens, but the talent of this team should carry them through. But I'm not confident. So I'm actually bringing it down to like a 55% because, like,
there is nothing like Toronto in the playoffs. There's nothing like it.
But I do also think, like, they're more physically resilient and they'll fight back.
Yes. Now
they will, because they've added that. I don't think they needed to add Ryan Reeves to do that. I think adding Bertuzzi, Domi was enough in order to
I do think Reeves has
that.
looked pretty decent, like, for the job he's in. He's looked a little better.
Yeah.
And I think in the playoffs, I see the argument for in the playoffs, you kind of, like, I get it that, like, the role that he plays is kind of antiquated and a little silly, but if everyone else kind of is trying to have a similar style of guy out there in the playoffs, then you can't just put out, like, I hope it doesn't mean, like, Nick Robertson doesn't go into the lineup, right? Like, I hope not, because they need, I think they were talking about this on TV last night. They kind of need guys in the playoffs, like a Nick Robertson, who can provide that supplementary offense. And he's a dog. Like, he goes. So
they got a bunch of those guys too, right? Like, not as good as Nick Robertson, but like Bobby McMahon, Kelly Yarncroke.
That line has been good. Like, that line has been good of Holmberg.
Matt Nyes is pretty
Robertson.
Good too.
Matt Nyes has been good lately. So I think that Toronto has the upper hand, but it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, and who knows what's going to come out of the bag this time.
They also did get swept by Boston in the regular season, but I don't care.
Right.
Like, whatever, man.
Doesn't, like, though I don't really look at those. Like, I don't really care that much about head-to-heads, like, because I think it's not really worth it one way or the other. Like, I feel like in the playoffs, always the right message is just, like, wipe the slate clean, focus on the team. It's just, we got to win some games. What happens before doesn't matter. We got our ticket to the dance. Sure, we lost to them, but we're moving forward. Like, this doesn't matter. It doesn't have any bearing on what's happening.
Yep.
So anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I agree, though, like, around a 60% confidence level, but yeah, because I've just seen the Toronto Maple Leafs be the Toronto Maple Leafs for what I remember about 25 years. And